Welcome back to Hairbands and Corporate Rock Between the Suits. This week, we look at Roddy's success as a musician and his upcoming tour. No doubt, you're as excited as I am to get this started. So without further ado, I give you Roddy Lush. Roddy, what are some of the worst interviews that you've ever had?
Oh, yeah. There's been a few. The one that comes to mind probably is when the interviewer was an older guy, and he didn't know much about rock and roll, and actually he didn't know who I was. He thought I was in Motley Crue. So, playing with it because I wasn't Motley Crue. I wasn't getting along well with him at that point. I just started saying some horrible things about different people, and thinking he'd blame it all on Tommy Lee.
I see. Maybe we should talk about the band. As you got started, who were some of your opening acts?
Oh God. Some of them were, you know, what they were. They just took up time. I do remember Hard Act, which was, ironically a hard act to follow. They were really good, and then everybody was like, Hard Act, Hard Act," and then we came on, and they kept yelling Hard Act, and then a lot of them left before we finished our set.
Of course, your most famous band was the Encores.
Oh no, it's Encore.
Oh, excuse me, Encore.
Encores was, some of the bands who afterwards, we lose somebody, and somebody will quit because we didn't pay him or something like that, and there was fights, and so Encores was Encore was the one who sold the most albums.
But you were in several bands over the course of your career. Cover band comes to mind.
Yes, that was kind of supposed to be a joke, because people were making fun of us, saying, "Oh, some of your some of your songs are quite derivative of other music," and we were sued later on. But anyway, it was the fact that they said you're just doing a cover of other people's music.
I'm sure everyone knows about the time you spent in the breakups.
Yeah. Again, we had a band. When you're in the middle of a concert and you turn around and the drummer's not there, that, because that's when the band starts to really tear apart.
And speaking of breakups, what was the reason that Encore broke up initially?
Well, wow. To be honest with, most of my bandmates hated me. I was a bit of a prick, but I was trying to get great music out of them, or sometimes their girlfriends. But that was different. It was the '80s. Come on. And you sleeping with my girlfriend. I said I never actually fell asleep. I was quite bored, actually. I nodded off.
Let's take a few moments and talk about your albums. Your first album wasn't typical of your future albums. In fact, we were unable to find the number of sales for your first album, The Wigs.
Well, it was actually self-produced. It was, the story behind that is that we gave somebody a piece of the profits, and then there was no profits, and then they didn't produce any albums, and that's one of the reasons I'm saying we didn't sell more, because I think if we had more, we'd have sold more.
Although your album sales were not that high over your career, you were known mostly for your live performances. What event did you think would be the biggest of your career?
Well, there's a lot of different things. I mean, we played near the Queen, and that's a different story. We've talked about, but um, played Wembley and all that, and probably I thought that it's sometimes you think just off the wall, a big thing in a political happening would be the thing to have everybody notice you. And of course, so we signed on to play the victory party in 1984 for uh, Walter Mondale. And that didn't quite turn out.
Oh, that certainly didn't. But it does look like the new band is looking to be a big hit. Can you tell us a little bit about your new members?
Well, some of I'll tell you, some of the new members weren't even born when we were making hits. They, they're enthusiastic. They're ready to go out on tour. They've heard some great things about the fun we've had on tour, and I think it's going to be good.
I think we have a clip of an interview from one of them. What do you think of joining Roddy Lush and Encore?
Yeah, I heard it was a real knob, but I needed the money.
Yeah, he's he. I'm sorry, he's in the band.
Well, according to our research, are you unsure?
Well, he looks vaguely familiar. Just it's rock and roll.
Let's go back to the time when you were with the original Encore. When the tour stopped and you were forced to get a real job, what was it like going from rock star to
9 to 5. Wow. Well, I sold door to door, which I don't recommend because it's tough. You knock on a door and somebody, what the hell do you want? And it's. I think my problem was familiarity or recognition.
So you're saying that the job was tough because people didn't recognize you?
Pretty much, yeah. Because I was figuring they'd go, "Oh God, it's Roddy," and they'd buy anything I had, and I'd make, a pretty good money. But yeah, it's tough on the ego when, excuse me, who are you? What do you want? And I go, oh, hey, how you doing? I'm Roddy, and they'd go, I don't care, and they wouldn't buy anything.
We also have some footage of one of your sales attempts.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Thank you very much for, coming to the door. I'm Roddy Lush, as you probably... Oh, you don't know. Okay, well, anyway, I'm Roddy Lush. I was formerly a big star in the 80s, and I am helping out this company to promote their products. And I think we have some wonderful...
What was the toughest part of putting the tour together?
Probably trying to convince my ex-bandmates to go out on the road again because they pretty much hated me.
And how did you accomplish that?
I appealed to greed, which I said we're going to make some money, and we've got some money guaranteed, and I promised not to mess with anybody else's girlfriend on this tour, and kind of like that.
Our producer spoke to several famous musicians about your latest tour. We spoke to Keith Richards.
Oh, very good.
He said, quote, it's nice to hear that he's still alive.
Yeah, Keith would say something like that. That's it's nice of him. I mean, I'm glad he's still alive. Of course, he doesn't. He's been sober for a bunch of years.
And Tommy Lee said, who the fuck is this?
Well, Tommy wouldn't admit to knowing me because we didn't see eye to eye. I mean, hey, great rock and roll drummer and all that sort of stuff. And then there's the Pamela, that girl.
And finally, we got to speak with one of your ex-wives who said, stop calling me or you'll hear from my lawyer.
Oh, was that 3 or 4?
The third, I believe.
Yeah, I think there's a some kind of a legal thing that I'm not supposed to come within like 500 yards or something like that.
Do you have anything that you'd like to say to these people?
Which ones? The rock and rollers or my ex-wives?
Well, I'd be interested in both.
Oh, I like to. For most of my ex-wives, sorry. For a couple of them, I was drunk. Okay, and then for some of the old rock and rollers is hey, I meant to pick up the tab, but I was elsewhere. And for those fans that are disappointed by a lot, you don't show up. Like my ex-wife, sorry.
As a touring artist, what do you think are the highs and lows of the profession?
Uh, the highs are touring when they're, screaming and yelling and, clapping and, having a great time. And all the lows were when you have to dress in the van and there's no bathroom when you really, 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 really need it. I'd say that, yeah.
Finally, if you could give some advice to aspiring musicians, what would it be?
Oh, okay. Don't get married a lot. Um, the difference between being married and not being married is like when you're not married, you start a lot more stories off with, so this roadie was blowing me. And when you're married, you don't say stuff like that. And you try to go home once in a while.
Well, everyone, I give you Roddy Lush. Thank you for speaking with us tonight. It's been enlightening.
Thank you for paying attention. I tried to.
I hope you've enjoyed our presentation tonight. There are many lessons that can be learned from the life of Roddy Lush, mostly how to fail your way to the top. While we anticipated this to be a long-running interview series, it would appear that the series has as much chance of surviving to next week as one of Roddy's marriages. Good night, America, and remember, the news is a joke.